Welcome everybody to RECON, and RECON stands for Real Estate Conversations. I'm Denny Grimes, one of the coaches, and we're ready to go on a Monday morning, and we have a new segment. Now, if you're watching through Facebook Live, you can join us by just going to reconroleplay.com, registering. It's all free, doesn't matter what company you're with. We have this Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 10 o'clock Eastern time. And these recordings are posted on my YouTube channel, Denny Grimes, The Mastery of Real Estate. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different, maybe a new segment. And we're going to call this segment, How Would You Handle This? And so remember, real estate, RECON is real estate conversations, but we not only teach you how to have the conversations, we're going to teach you how to think, how to be situationally aware so you can actually move your clients forward to a good decision. So here is the scenario. Louise has kind of the summary probably in the chat, but if you log on late, you may not know that. And so before we do that, Louise, I want to get some people ready to go to handle the scenario. You don't know what it is, just like every day you go to work, we don't know what's going to come our way. So Louise, who do we have lined up that has already raised their hand?
Well, I see Frank and I see Lori on my screen. Lori is the brave first soul.
All right. So here is the scenario we're going to work on. So we're going to talk through this first, and then we'll have you do the conversation. You receive a call. You've never met the buyer before, but the buyer is familiar with your area. They call you on a particular home. They ask about other homes, but there's one in particular they like. And it's been on the market 100 days, and it's listed at $700,000. And they ask you this, and Lori, you'll be the first one up. Lori, can you ask the seller to hold it? We'll be there the 1st of September. Now that's the scenario. All right. They have the financing. You don't have to worry about that. They can either finance it or pay cash, so they don't have to go through pre-qualifying questions. But I want to know how you would handle that, Lori. So let's just start with you're talking to me. I'm asking you, hey, look, we'll be there in 2 weeks. I like this house. I keep coming back to this house. I've not seen it, but I'm somewhat familiar with the general area. We'll be there in 2 weeks, Lori. Can you ask the seller if they'll hold it for us? Go.
Well, that's a really great question. I can ask the seller anything. What they'll agree to is different. Since you're familiar with the area, would you be comfortable if we did a kind of a video walkthrough?
Well, that'd be great. But and by the way, you are not the listing agent, okay?
I was just going to ask that. Thank you.
Now you're going to represent the buyer. So, well, yeah, that'd be great. But you're going to walk through it and let me see it. But still, that doesn't mean the seller won't sell it to somebody else before you get there. So, I want to know if there's a way that we can kind of hold it until I get there. Maybe the seller will give me an opportunity to, hold it for 2 weeks.
I'm really okay. Um, I understand your concern. It sounds like you really, really love this house and you're really familiar with the area. If I had to put the shoe on the other foot and you had your home on the market, would you be willing to take it off the market from exposing it to other buyers? Because there's one particular buyer that may come down in a couple of weeks. Would you be willing to do that if the shoe was on the other foot?
Well, if my home was on the market one day, maybe not, but it's been on over 100 days. We're in the dead dog days of summer, and maybe a potential showing and contract would be better than nothing.
Well, you can always put a contract in and extend it would, it would probably be more advantageous for the seller to extend an inspection period, knowing that they have a contract in hand and allowing you the time frame to come look at the home, do an inspection if you want. Um, I'm stuck.
Why would you be stuck? All right. Well, all right. So, well, can you check on that first? We can talk about that later. Okay. Now, the second part of this role play, Lori, you didn't handle that badly.
Oh, thanks.
You're going to call the listing agent now, and Louise is the listing agent, and you're going to find out. You're going to make the request from the listing agent. How do you have a conversation with the listing agent?
Hi, Louise. My name is Lori. I'm with KW. I wanted to give you a quick call because I have an interested buyer on 123 Main Street. Do you have a second that we can chat?
Yes, of course.
Perfect. So my buyer is very interested in the home, very familiar with the area. They're particularly interested in this one home. However, they're not going to be here for a couple of weeks and have asked me to implore the seller to possibly holding the home until they have the opportunity to take a look at the home. I know that's a tough question, but tell me your thoughts.
Oh, of course, we can hold it for them. What kind of escrow deposit are they willing to put down?
That's a good one. Um, well, we've talked about having a video walkthrough and getting an offer into the agent or into the seller. I just kind of wanted to give you a call real quick and see what your seller might be thinking since it's been on the market for a little while. And my buyer is very interested. Um, I should have asked the buyer more questions.
Well,
I'm
keep
stuck
going.
again.
Well, I'm glad they're
I'm
interested.
rambling. I don't know what to say.
I'm glad
Well,
they're interested. Go
so
ahead,
how
Denny.
much? All right. So when you say escrow deposit, how much of the deposit are you talking about?
Okay, so how much escrow deposit would your seller be looking for?
Well, 10% would be comfortable, but absolutely nothing under 5% of the purchase price.
Okay, great. I can definitely have that conversation. And are there any other terms that the seller will be comfortable with so that my buyer can come down in a couple weeks and take a look at the property and hopefully get it under contract?
Well, we usually have a short inspection period. So would they want the inspection to occur before they arrive, or are they asking us to extend the inspection period for the time that they are down here?
I would probably think that they would want to extend the inspection period a little bit.
Time.
But
Okay. So, all right. Who's up next before I give some feedback? Because I have some questions on that. And let's go,
Ellie.
Ellie.
All right,
Yes.
yes. Hi, good
All
morning,
right.
everyone.
So it'll be the same thing. I am the buyer. You've heard this scenario. Um, and find out if the seller will hold it. We'll be there in 2 weeks.
All right, Danny, I understand your question here, but let me ask us this. If you are in the seller's position, what would you do?
Well, like I said, what would I do? I mean, if it was on the market one day, I probably wouldn't even consider it. However, it's been on the market 100 days. It's not sold. We're in the middle of summer. And so maybe a bird in hand might be worth two in the bush.
Absolutely, I can absolutely advocate that for you. Just curious, is there any guarantee that you want to put on the table or something that will make the seller wait for you?
Well, how can I guarantee it if I haven't seen it yet? I want them just like give me first dibs on it.
Okay. And if after the seller waits for you 2 weeks, let's say you come down and see the house and you don't like the house as you thought you would, what happens next?
Well, just go on to another house and then thank the seller for me. It's a settlement edible gift basket with fruit in it or something like that. So we'll just
Okay.
go on to the next house.
Okay.
Would
All
you
right.
please find out from the other agent?
Yes, absolutely. I will do that. If they will require some terms or deposit, would you be willing to do that?
Like, well, it depends. How much?
Okay. All right. All right. Let me just go to the listing agent and find out more about it and what's the
Okay,
seller's
good. Call
position,
Louise.
and I'll get back to you.
Call Louise.
Hi, Louise.
Hi.
Hi, this is Ellie. Ellie, I have a very interested buyer in your property. They're listed for 123 Main Street, and with kind of an different request. He's wanted to asking the sellers to hold the listing, to hold the property 2 weeks until he comes down to see it. What are your
Um,
thoughts in there?
so hey, Ellie, thank you for calling. We're glad that they're interested. We're not surprised they're interested. We just had a price reduction. We've been getting a lot of phone calls. So, um, when your buyer submits are you asking us to, are you saying that you're going to submit an offer and the buyer, a sight unseen offer, and the buyer will come down in a couple of weeks to see it?
We are not submitting an offer yet, just wanted to hold it for 2 weeks, and then when he sees it, may make an offer at the time.
Well, we can't hold it without a contract, though, Ellie.
Okay. Would you be willing to ask your client, your seller?
Well, let's just assume that we don't have a client to talk to. So now you're calling me back. Give me the information.
Okay. All right, Danny. So I spoke with the listing agent. They are kind of unwilling to do that because, as probably you understand, there's not in their best interest. And if happens that you don't like the property, they might lose another buyer. So it's kind of a no. Is there any other thing that I can, like a video tour with for you and give you all the data, all the information available, and in this way you can make an educated decision if this is the right property for you?
That's all well and good, but you don't expect me to buy a $700,000 house without actually kicking the bricks, right? So what do you suggest we do?
I mean, the best bet would be to have a tour of the property with in detailed to show all the parts and everything that this property has. We make an offer, and when you come down, and if the offer is not, if the property is not what you're looking for, we can negotiate or get
But it might be
this.
sold before I come down. What I'm trying to do is like, kind of like we keep coming back to this house. I can't get there any sooner. I appreciate the offer of the video tour. What can we do?
So the thing that make the seller to kind of make you the new owner is to come up with a deposit that will give the certainty that you are the right buyer for them, their house.
All right. So how much of a deposit?
So usually, typically in this area, it's between 5 to 10%, sometimes even more, depends.
So thirty thousand
Um,
dollars. So we gave a $30,000 deposit. How would that work?
so this deposit, I'm talking about this area, so where I'm working, okay? So here, usually the deposit,
I got it.
it's
Yeah, but
okay.
would $30,000 work? Would you go if we made a deposit of $30,000? It would be contingent on me liking the home. If I don't like it, I get my money back. Would that work?
That depends on the how we write the contract.
Ask the other agent. Last time, go back to. I'm going to see how you handle this. Back to the agent. Go.
Hi, Luis. So my client is willing to make an offer and actually to put a nice deposit down. Do you think that this will hold the property for 2 weeks, your seller?
Well, the terms of the contract, as you know, Ellie, are, they submit an offer, the contingencies are the inspection. Is this a finance or a cash buyer?
It's cash.
Okay, so it seems
Cash.
like the only contingency would be the
Ellie, how much of a
inspection.
deposit am I willing to put down? You
So
never.
yes, so my client is willing to put down $30,000 as a deposit.
So put 30,000 into escrow, and what are the other terms of the
Yes.
contract?
Just inspection.
So close it.
It's subject to me liking the home when I get there.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the inspection period? The proposed inspection period, Ellie?
So it will be
Uh,
delayed by the time when
10 days.
so
10
in
days.
yeah,
10 days.
10 days.
A 10-day inspection period?
Yep.
Yes.
So let me just recap. You're submitting an offer for the ask price of $330,000
There's
earnest money
nothing in there
deposit.
about the asking prices. I'm willing to put down a deposit of $30,000 in good faith that if I don't like the house, I'll get my money back. We'll have a 10-day inspection period. It's not a contract. It's what do you call it? A letter of intent. with a deposit in escrow.
And if the buyer does not like the property, what happens then, Ellie?
The buyer gets his money back. And
Yeah, so
you get
yeah,
an
that's
edible,
my
you get a gift basket. Now, stop.
I will present this to the seller, but
Stop. All right.
I would ask them not to get their hopes up.
So how many people would handle this a little bit differently? Frank, what would you do different?
Well, I don't know about different, but I would get you to commit to submitting an offer subject to you viewing the property.
Okay.
I would try and get you to do your inspections ahead of time so that you're only out the inspection money. You'd get your earnest money back if you view the property. Because if I'm the listing agent, I don't like taking an offer where it's subject 2 weeks later for him to
All
view
right. So
the
you're
property.
now talking to me as the buyer. You know what the scenario is. What is your advice to me? Then I'm going to start unpacking this.
Denny, it sounds like you want this property. And if you want to win this property, what I suggest first is we put together an offer that's acceptable to the seller and you, and negotiate on that first, because we might not even come to terms otherwise. And that offer would be subject to your visitation on September 1st.
Okay. So I'm going to stop now. Here's the way I had a conversation with him. And that is definitely one way. That is the way that I handled it. Now, here's the point I want you to understand. The moral of this story, if you're taking notes, is this. I'm going to ask you the question. When does your negotiating begin in the transaction? As soon as you have a conversation with your party and the other party, it's already beginning. So, for example, if what Frank's suggesting is a great scenario, number one, if the buyer wants the opportunity to try to negotiate, because let's say the seller said, okay, it doesn't really matter what the deposit is, if it's 30,000 or 300,000. If it's subject to him liking the home, it doesn't matter. He's going to get the money back, right? So there's no strength in a get out of jail free card deposit. But here's what I want, and this is what Frank's probably recognizing. This is what I want you to recognize. If you want to negotiate for your buyer in this situation, all right, so let's say they said, yeah, come down, we'll give you to September 5th. If they come down and he says he likes it, don't you think that weakens their negotiating strength? The seller's now held the house for 2 weeks, let's say, or 2.5 weeks. They like the home. Now they're going to offer $25,000 or $50,000 less. What do you think as a seller? Well, there is, in my opinion, there is a measure of negotiating strength that is diluted unless you negotiate it up front. Are you following me on that? Nod your head. If you have a question, raise your hand. This is going to be a teaching lesson. I want you to understand we've got to kind of build this from the bottom up. Because even in the very first role play, both of y'all, both the first two, what would a seller think? What would you think as a seller? Just take your house off the market for 2 weeks. Okay, well, you can do that. The first thing I said, well, you probably have to do some sort of non-refundable deposit. However, if we're 2 weeks away from basically him being here, wouldn't the best thing be, Frank, to go ahead and let's negotiate price and terms? Because if price and terms never come together, why worry about it, right? Are you following me on that? That's the first point. The second point is there a better chance you can negotiate with a seller if price and terms are agreed to, and then you open up your inspection window for, instead of 10 days, it's not that unusual. You have 14 days, where it may only need 16 days. Would that be a more palatable, would that not have a higher probability of going through, particularly if the sellers had it on the market 100 days and we're in August? Hey, listen, maybe the normal inspection period's 10 days, but this is a cash buyer. We've already negotiated a price, no mortgage contingency. Instead of 10 days, they want 14 days. Do you think that would be sellable?
Yes.
But
I
you'd
have
have,
a question. I'm sorry. I don't know how to raise my hand.
There's a
So,
little place, there's a
yeah,
little
no,
thing.
in my tax bar, it doesn't have the little hand for some reason.
I also don't have, so I
It's
also
okay.
don't
It's
know.
Hey,
under
hey,
the react. If you, where the heart is and you
Yeah.
see react,
Uh-huh.
there's a little arrow pointing up next to it. Do you see
Yeah.
that? You
Reaction
should
and
be able
setting.
to, just for future reference.
Okay, because it still doesn't say, oh, yeah, use hand. Okay, got it. Okay. So in this scenario, if there's any chance that you can say as a seller, you can probably say, yeah, we can probably perhaps do that as long as we have kind of a letter of intent, but I am still going to be showing the house because it's not a for sure thing. So I'm not willing to take the house out of the market, but I will take, second and third offers if by any chance that happens. And if by any chance, when you come in and like the house, then we're good to go with the price. And the contract has to say exactly the price that it's going to be. There's no negotiation if you're going to do something like that. And in addition to that, you still will leave the property as available for other people, for them to be able to see it. Then if by any
okay,
chance
I got it.
there's
I
no
got
one
it.
else,
Hang on, I got that.
okay,
You bring up a good point, but here's the deal. If I put up $30,000 as a buyer, it's refundable if I don't like it, and they can still show the home, why even go through that whole mess? Because nothing's binding. Frank,
well,
you were
because
going to
for the
say
first
something.
one.
What were you going to say?
yeah, well, at that point, you've got a concurrency on the property. It works in the seller's best benefit. If you do it contingent on inspections and on the site and viewing it, that always makes me nervous as a listing agent. However, if I know they're going to get their inspections done first, at least they're putting some skin in the game. And if I do part of their earnest money as non-refundable, they're putting more skin in the game.
Yeah,
So you
I
bring up
agree with
another, hang on,
non-refundable.
you bring up another good point is that, and I was going to ask you, how many of you guys, if you're the listing agent or it's customary in your marketplace, if someone has put an offer in sight unseen, doesn't that give you the EBGBs a little bit? Like, I don't know how solid this is.
Yeah, it feels like they're gonna come and try to beat you up on negotiations after the inspection.
Right.
Hey,
So
Denny.
hang on, this is how I solved that. I said, listen, and I told the buyer that, and I'm representing the buyer. I said, this is what we have to do. We have to make this look real. So I'll go, and you've already suggested this, but let's negotiate. In fact, first thing I'd do is I'd go look at the home, have a video, I'd video the home. I'd be in the home talking to them. It would be a virtual showing. Now that's not as good as the buyer being here, but that's one step better than the buyer not having any interaction with the house. Would you not agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is kind of a little, and I don't mean this negatively, but it's I'm already negotiating for my buyer. It's kind of a little head fake, right? So that's going to take up a little bit of time because I don't think there'd be any chance a sharp listing agent would let that go through without a showing.
Right. And Matt always says you got to sell it to three people, right? The listing agent, the seller, and somebody else. Can't
Probably
remember.
the appraiser, but I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The appraiser.
Louise, you had a comment.
I just wanted to point out that Janet posted something really good in the chat. I don't know if she's able to talk to it. Janet, are you able to speak? Okay, if she's not, I'll read it. Janet wrote, have a 48-hour right of refusal if someone else comes in with a better offer.
All right. Well, here's the challenge with that. What do you put into MLS? Now I'm taking the listing agent side. You've got to put it as pending or pending with contingencies. Then what does that do to your showings? So it is a thought, but if you're the listing agent, you're not helping your seller at all. One more thing, I did a market analysis on this because I wanted to see where it was positioned. It just did have a price change, and got to be careful how you word these things. It is kind of the highest price in that particular little area, and everything's selling kind of under that. Now, what you have to be careful of, and you guys know this, but there might be some newer people watching on Facebook Live or the recording that are newer agents. I took that data and I gave it to the seller and I said, look, it appears positionally, 100 days on the market, they still may be a little out of the market, even with their price change. However, I never stated as a fact why. Have you ever looked at something and say, no way that's going to sell in the next 2 weeks? And it comes in and sells, and now you're to blame because I put my fingerprints on it. Does that make sense? So, here's my point. This may be a little outside, doesn't happen every day, but here's the point I want you to get. Your negotiation begins immediately. So I'm going to call Louise. In fact, Frank, I want you to call Louise and just finish your role play. How would you handle this? If it was I just want to see if they'll hold it. Now you're calling the listing agent, Frank. Go. It's Louise.
Hey, Louise, Frank, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks.
Hey, listen, I've got a buyer interested in 123 Main. The one issue I have is they're not going to be in town until September 5th. They're willing to put an offer in now, a concurrent offer, if that's good with you guys. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it'd be more about
Or
the
I'm sorry, a
term,
contingent offer. I'm sorry, a contingent offer, if that's good
and
with
it
you
would be
guys.
contingent on, what are the contingencies, Frank?
Home inspection. It's a cash buyer, home inspection, and doing doing his walkthrough when he gets in town,
Okay, and when is he coming into town?
September 5th.
How many days is that from now?
That is about 3 weeks. But we'll get our home inspections done prior to that.
Okay, so the home inspection paragraph is also tied to the right or the right
No.
to cancel.
No, they'll get that done. They'll do that first,
We're going to do the home
but it
inspection
doesn't matter.
as soon as we're under contract. We'll get that set up.
Okay, and the escrow deposit is how much?
It
We haven't
won't matter.
discussed that yet, but it's probably going to be about $4,000.
No, it'd be $20,000.
$20,000.
It's the money's coming back if I don't like the house. So I mean, that's a legitimate
so-
question, but I want you guys to understand it could be $100,000. If
Doesn't
it's
matter.
subject to me liking it, it doesn't matter. But
Right.
it does show intent. So not a bad question. Louise, what do you say to Frank? We'll go on to the next one.
Frank, we've had this conversation with their seller in advance and expectation or setting expectations. They're not willing to take a property off of the market without a firm deposit, and you're asking us to have the inspection period, which we do expect, but what we don't expect is a 3-week hold period with no repercussion should the buyer come in and change their mind.
So I'm going to coach you on that, Louise, just for a moment. As a
Sure.
listing agent, if Frank's calling me with that information, here's what's our favorite 2 words, guys?
It
It
depends.
depends.
It depends. It depends on the offer, Frank. Now, this 100 days, now you might have a seller tell you that, but realistically, if I had a seller tell me that, I say, well, let's find out what this guy's willing to do. So now they're coming in, you have the offer, it's full price, $20,000 in escrow. They'll get the inspections done in 10 days. They just want to find a walkthrough in 18 days. How many people would be able to have we're not going to sell it to our sellers, but would you not think that's rather strong?
No.
You don't think so?
Now that as a listing agent, man, I am real tentative about somebody who hadn't seen the property. They do their walkthrough and they go, it's just not what we wanted, and they walk away.
I got that, but you're on the market. I got that. And if you're in the right market, and I'm not trying to sell you on the idea, I'm just saying, I think if you have nothing else going on, is it worth 8 days of your world?
I would present it to my sellers. They'll make the decision, but yeah.
But how many people would be, again, we have to let them make the decision, but could you not make a case that it's worth rolling the dice if it's full price and the only contingency is that they come down and look at it? Michael, what do you think? You're muted, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd measure the house for them as we did a virtual tour. I'd say this bedroom is this by this using my laser. Just give them as much information as I could, but 100%, man. Yeah, I got nothing else to do.
one other thing that I'm going to go and I'm going to ask your opinion on both the first two role, Ellie, and I forgot who did the first role play with me. Who was that, Louise?
It was Lori.
Lori. That's right, Lori. All right. If negotiation begins right off this from the beginning, both of you called Louise. The listing agent said, I've got a buyer very interested. Now, I understand, I don't know if you thought this through or not. You can make a good case that because they haven't seen it, you want to emphasize they're very interested. Because remember, they're already going to be skittish. The seller and the listing agent are going to be skittish. They haven't even seen the home yet. But when you're presenting an offer on a normal arm's length transaction, you've shown the home, feedback, never say very interested. Y'all got me on that?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it
gives the
weakens,
seller.
Gives
yeah.
away your leverage.
Yeah, it gives the
might give
seller.
away a millimeter of leverage. And what is the right? Here's how I would handle that. Hey, I'm going to call Louise. Louise, we look at your house. In fact, I'm surprised you did a role play to Frank. Frank, we're getting a lot of calls on that house today. So I would call the listing agent and say, Louise, appreciate the showing. You're calling for feedback. We will walk through it. We saw several homes. It's one of our top 3. By the way, are there any offers on it? Now, when I say it's the top 3, and they're basically jumping up and down, I want the house, I want the house. Am I being honest with them? It is in the top 3. But what am I doing? I'm already laying the groundwork for negotiation.